Good evening, everybody, and welcome to another edition of 108 Stitches Baseball Talk. And what a great crew we have, and we have a couple loaded topics tonight, and I mean loaded. But first of all, let me introduce the crew. Will Vogel, welcome back to your regular your broadcast on Tuesday night, talking about the Diamond Doings. Welcome
Yes,
back.
sir. Always love talking baseball 365 times a year.
Well, that's okay. You've earned the role to come on this show, and I'm very delighted to have you. And of course, Jordan Long, Sports Scoop. Is that one?
Yep, that's my Twitter handle. And thank you, Scott, for having me. I mean, we're on to the off season. It's going to be very interesting.
Yeah, and I'll turn it over to Rick Curdy, and then I want to give everybody an overview of what things are going to be like during the off season now that baseball is done on a regular basis. All right, Rick, welcome back.
Thanks, guys.
You're going to have a doubleheader tonight. You get Fire Up Wisconsin immediately after the show. And me, well, I'm going on for one segment, and I'm turning the reins over to Candy Ebling is what I'm doing. She's worthy of the opportunity, and I'm proud of everything she does. And I think it's about time for her to have her own gig. She also does, though, on Sideline Sports with Chicks and Salsa, as well as Three Chicks on a Podcast. So Candy's just an amazing woman. But what she does with the website now, she's earned the right to go out there and spend some mic time. And for her to have her own show on our network, which is probably long overdue, but timing is everything. She's going to do some wonderful things with Fire Up Wisconsin. I'll come on occasionally, but it's time for me to turn it over and make it an all Wisconsin show. And Candy's certainly going to have that opportunity to build it to the level that she wants. With that said, George, 2 and 2 nights. Thanks for coming on short notice.
Oh, no problem. Glad to be on the show with these baseball experts.
Yeah, no, these are good guys. I love having them on every week. I really do. And Rick comes on when we need him. And what I might consider doing actually now, just to give everybody an idea what things are going to look like going forward, is I might start during the off season going to 5-man crews with lesser subjects to get more opinions. And if I decide to go there, Rick Curdy, you and I will be talking a lot of baseball. So you might have 3 shows in 1 week, but I know you'll be an excellent contributor as you have been on this show. So when you and I started doing it, nobody wanted to be on. Now it's one of the one shows out here that where a lot of people want to be on. You and I really worked to grow it, and you're going to continue to build this like we have for the last year or two. So with that said, 2 topics, pretty straightforward. World Series observations, contemporary era Hall of Fame ballot. I'll turn it over to Will Vogel. Give me some World Series observations.
So it was a good series so far, and for baseball, no team had lost back-to-back games until the Phillies did. The thing that hurt the Phillies was in Game 5, the goal was get to Verlander early because Verlander had struggled in the postseason so far during the postseason this year, and they didn't get to him early, and that's what hurt them. And also Game 6, and the combined no hitter also hurt them too, which getting no hit on, yeah, it's hard to recover from that, and they didn't, the Phillies. I'm not an Astros fan. I'm a Yankees fan, but congratulations to Jeremy Pena. You won the ALCS MVP, and you also won the World Series MVP as a rookie. Sure, you're not one of the finalists for Rookie of the Year for the AL, but you know what? You won a World Series in your rookie year. You won the MVP of that, and you won the American League Championship MVP. I say that's a better trophy. I think those are a lot better trophies than a Rookie of the Year. Anyway, for the Phillies, it was tough seeing them lose. I felt bad for them, but you know what? If they can do what they did in the postseason during the regular season and fight with the Mets and the Braves for the crown of the NL East, hey, who knows? Maybe they'll go back. But overall, it was a good World Series. Also happy for Dusty Baker to get his first World Series title. He had been there so many times, but it escaped him every time, and he finally got one.
Boy, I'll tell you, well done. Well, really, well done. You painted the picture so well. we'll turn it over to your sideline partner, Jordan Long. Can you top Will's act?
I'm going to try. If not, Will and I are on the same team. But if you really look at this World Series, what was the main difference between the Phillies and the Astros? The Astros had the pitching. Phillies couldn't compete with that. Plus, we saw them get no hit. That is, the Phillies get no hit. The biggest thing, though, as I look at Game 6, Yordan Alvarez hitting that home run to give the Astros a lead. It just showed me that the Astros knew it was their time. Phillies, they're a young team. I mean, you've got Kyle Schwarber as the veteran. Bryce Harper's going to be there for a while. But the thing that I look at it is they couldn't get the timely hits. That was the big problem in this series for the Phillies, especially after they got no hit. I think the momentum shifted right there. But if you look at for the Astros, I'm happy for the Astros. Dusty Baker, like Will said, in 2002, so close to winning it with the Giants, lost to the Angels. 2003, the Cubs lost in Game 7 of the NLCS. And finally, he wins it with the Astros. I mean, there's no better guy deserving as a manager than Dusty Baker. He's been in, Major League Baseball for a long time, so I'm happy for Dusty. So my hat's off to the Astros. They came out, they showed in Game 6, we want to win this, especially with Yordan Alvarez's home run. And like Will said, Pena for the MVP. I mean, what better way to end your rookie year with a World Series ring and the MVP of the World Series?
All right.
Well, it was a really good World Series. Phillies were the Cinderella team. My goodness, 9 games under 500. You fire your manager and you go to the World Series. I mean, there's total Cinderella team. Nobody ever saw them going there. And the Astros, or as I like to call them, the Trastros, because that's what they always will be. But I'm happy for Dusty Baker. I said the Astros would win in 6. They won in 6. Phillies look good. But ever since, and this is Scott's favorite, I know how much he loves combined no-hitters. But ever since that combined no-hitter, it was all Astros. I mean, it totally deflated the Phillies, and it really flipped the script. And Astros took control. It was their pitching. The Phillies got the hitting, but the Astros got the pitching. And, I just felt it's Dusty Baker's time. He's been so close. And I'm happy for Dusty Baker. He's he was going to the Hall of Fame with a championship or with not. This will cement his candidacy for the Hall of Fame. So congrats to Dusty Baker.
All right, George.
I thought it was an exciting World Series. I agree with everything that's mentioned so far. Here in Detroit, of course, we were rooting for 2 people. I was actually 3. Justin Verlander of the Houston Astros, of course, a marvelous Detroit Tigers career he had. He was at 2 World Series for the Tigers. They did not win it, of course, as we know. And then General Manager Dave Dombrowski, of course. Dave has been phenomenal with following the descent of money and of prowess as a general manager or a president of operations, if you will, with the Phillies. And, of course, he was with the Tigers and the Marlins and the Boston Red Sox, who won it all. And then, of course, Nick Castellanos, who did not have a good series. I'm afraid it's more like feast or famine with a lot of the hitters for the Phillies. You live by the sword, you die by the sword, the long ball. And you're right, that deflated them. That no-hitter obviously deflated the club tremendously. But I'm one to say that, Dusty Baker deserved it. He has been a great manager. He won one as a player, but now he's got one as a manager, which is tremendous achievement for him. And he's such a down-home guy. My God, his comments after the game, he goes, let's party, let's have start the fun. He's a tremendous goodwill ambassador for the game. I'm sorry to hear that the ratings were, they said, only slightly better than I think a season ago. Baseball's got a lot of work to still do in that department. And also the fact that there were not hardly any black athletes, black baseball players is another bad mark on Major League Baseball in this World Series. Things that baseball has to improve upon, obviously, to get a better audience share and come around more. I know they got a tremendous Hispanic and Latino presence. There's no question about it. But we need to get more black baseball stars in Major League Baseball. That's a little aside, okay? I could have saved that for another show. But all in all, Scott and guys, I think it was a tremendous World Series. A lot of fun to watch.
Yeah, I mean, geez, old Pete, you guys probably save me from losing my voice. That'll have to use it much. Before I get into my comments, however, I'll just say this: subscribe to the South Florida Tribune on our YouTube channel, or visit www.southfloridatribune.com and advertise. Call 954-304-4941. The audio portion of the show can be heard on iHeartRadio, Google, Apple, or wherever you get your podcast. If you have difficulties finding it that way, just go to youtube.com, look for South Florida Tribune, and hit subscribe. Simple as that. One of the things I like to do, in addition to these streams that we have here, is I love the media availabilities, the one-on-one interviews that I get when I'm on the road, and so forth. So we try to give that YouTube channel not only a personal touch here on the streams, and I do want to make this announcement too, since I have this crew on. In January, what I've decided to do is make a big business decision for all of us. I'm going to invest into the StreamYard package, which will allow us up to 8 places to put the shows. And what I'm going to do is I have 3 other accounts I'm going to attach it to. I'd rather do it after the first of the year as I develop certain things. But one of those accounts that will be connected to it, actually, I'll make this before I get into my Astros Phillies comments. It's good to have you guys on here. Is I'm going to attach my LinkedIn account to it, the South Florida Tribune Facebook page, as well as the Motor City Tribune Twitter account as well. Those are 3 solid ones. They're all building. I do want to take the winner and how days to more or less develop them before I make move. Although my LinkedIn's fairly well developed, and the South Florida Tribune Facebook is already, but Motor City Tribune needs a little work since there's a fair amount of content that is related there, so we can connect to our sister city, and that's the metropolitan Detroit area, for which George and I are all too familiar. I just want to make this out there for all you guys, Jordan, Rick, Will, and hearing it for the first time. The year message is, our plan is to make sure it reaches even more people than it does now. And that's why we appreciate the sacrifices and the time and the dedication, devotion that you have now, because my goal is I will never let off the gas, which probably explains a little bit more why I am going to step back on a show or two, like the Fire Up Wisconsin, so I can devote other time to doing other stuff. But that said, just wanted to bring that out there ahead of time. What can I say? Well, George, Jordan, Rick has said everything I wanted to say. The only thing I'll really add to it is I'm glad that Justin Verlander got that first World Series win, so he doesn't have to hear any more questions about it. Number one, Dusty Baker is the oldest manager to ever win a World Series, taking the place of Jack McKeon, formerly of the Marlins.
Oh, yeah.
So you're able to get that. The Marlins there, so that's the only thing you guys didn't come up with. But that's okay. That's why you had me here a little bit to add a thing or two. And the reality is now, and Rick, in reference to your combined no-hitters, I'm still trying to come up with $1 million question in those combined no-hitters. Who actually gets credit for the no-hitter? Okay. I know everybody's going to tell me it's a legitimate stat. And for the Astros, it's their 15th no-hitter in franchise history. I get it. The only time I ever saw a combined no-hitter in person was back in 1982 or 83 when I saw the New York Yankees throw one. I can't remember who it was. I don't know if it was the Mets or the White Sox or whatever, but they ended up throwing one. And before you know it, you didn't know who it was. Combined no-hitters in spring training is one thing, but I'm still trying to figure out who gets credit for it. So it's not that I have a problem with the statistic. I'm just trying to say who gets it. Well, what are we going to have? What are we going to do? Break it down into thirds, fourths, fifths? I don't know. I mean, I'm still trying to find out with the analytical people that come up with wins above replacement and every stat that every Tom, Dick, and Harry can come up with, because I haven't figured out 90% of them except for the basic stats, which I will get into another day. But this show, folks, is going to be more formatted to a couple major topics and parting shots, and I'll probably incorporate a 5th person on every show as well. And maybe if I think it warrants even a 6th, I might. I think that may be much, but it just depends on the topic and the subject matter, because I want to make sure we can carry this show through the off season. The second and final topic of the night before we go to parting shots will be the Contemporary Hall of Fame ballot. The way we're going to work this is everybody's going to get an opportunity to say whether or not these people belong in the Hall of Fame, and that's it. And then if they have any reasons why, they can give me a short description of how it's going to be. And that way everybody has a fair opportunity with those. So with that said, okay, for the temporary Era Hall of Fame ballot. No Lou Whitaker, no Sammy Sosa, and we're gonna. You know what? We let off with well before. We're gonna do it again.
So, my thoughts on like what was the question? I'm sorry. My thoughts who I
What I'm
think's
going to
gonna
do,
get in.
I'm going to list you names. Yes or
Okay,
no.
let's do it.
Log in. Everybody's going to
Okay.
get it. By the time the fifth person gets it, they'll probably memorize the names. So we got to make sure we break it easy for you, Will, so you know because you haven't heard them before. All right, Albert Bell. Does he belong in? Yes or no?
No,
Why?
I just don't think he did enough, personally.
Okay, fair enough. Barry Bonds.
No, he used steroids.
Okay. Roger Clemens.
No, he cheated as well. He used steroids.
Don Mattingly.
Yes, because real quick, he has over 2,000 hits. He's a 6-time All-Star, 9-time Gold Glover, and a 6-time All-Star.
Fred McGriff.
Yes, he has over 2,000 hits, close to 500 home runs, 3-time Silver Slugger, 5-time All-Star, 1-time World Series champion.
Dale Murphy.
Yes, because he has over 2,000 hits, 7 All-Stars, 2 NL MVPs, 5-time Gold Glove, and he's a 4-time Silver Slugger.
Rafael Palmeiro.
No, he did. He used steroids as well.
And last but not least, Kurt Schilling.
No, he cheated.
And you know what? We'll just give you the outline how these questions are going to be answered. Good job. Really. All right, Jordan.
I'm ready.
Albert Bell.
No, it's pretty much the same reasons what Will said.
Barry Bonds.
Definitely not a steroid user, even though that he technically didn't proven, but we all know he did.
Okay, fair enough. Roger Clemens.
Same reason as Bonds. The answer is no.
Don Mattingly.
I have to say yes, just because he was one of the best Yankees to ever play.
Yeah, he's also honored at Monument Park. His number's retired there as well. And he actually did a pretty good job as manager of the Marlins as well. Am I going to be biased toward him? Well, wait around for a couple minutes and you'll get my answer with that. Okay, Fred McGriff.
I'd say yes. I mean, one of the best, power hitters we've seen. So yes, I'd put him in.
Dale Murphy.
No, just again what Will said.
Rafael Palmeiro.
Definitely not. He basically lied to Congress saying that he didn't use steroids and then found out that he actually used steroids and got tested positive.
Yeah, didn't
I
you go ahead
actually
and
had Murphy.
I'm sorry, what was that, Will?
I said I actually had Murphy, Jordan.
Okay. All right. So you say no to Rob, right, Jordan?
Yep.
Okay. Kurt Schilling.
He's borderline for me just because, he was in the steroid era, but he was also a dominant pitcher. He also has a couple of World Series rings, so he's borderline. If I had to pick right now, I would say no.
Okay. Fair enough. Okay. Turn it over to Rick Curdy.
Okay.
I'll go over the names like we've done all along.
Okay.
Albert Bell.
No, great, good player, but he just didn't do enough to have a long career for a Hall of Fame career.
I know the answer, but I have to hear it so that everybody else can hear it. Barry Bonds.
No. He cheated, and if it wasn't for steroids, he would not be the home run king.
Okay. Fair enough. Roger Clemens.
No, he's a cheater as well. It's tainted with steroids.
Okay. Don Mattingly.
Love Don Mattingly. Unfortunately for me, it's going to be a no. Just his career was great career, but very short. Unfortunately, back problems hurt his career. I'm going to have to say no on him.
All right. Fred McGriff.
Absolutely. I've been campaigning this for many, many years. How this guy is not in the Hall of Fame is baffling to me. Yes.
Okay. Yeah, you've been consistent with that on every show I've had you on, and at least you're consistent again. Dale Murphy.
Love Dale Murphy. Met him. Great guy. Unfortunately, not enough. The home runs. Great. I mean, 2 MVPs. Great career. It's going to be a no for me.
Kurt Schilling.
Like Jordan said, borderline. I'm going to say no on that. Just it could go either way, but for me, I'm gonna say no.
Fair enough. Okay. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back around the horn and let everybody talk about Whitaker. It's Sammy Sosa, but I want to get the main ones done first. All right, George, I'll do it with you. Albert Bell.
No, not enough. The body of work. I mean, he was Mr. Cleveland Indian, but wasn't enough to garner Hall of Fame for me.
Okay. Barry Bonds.
I go back and forth on this, Scott. I've been on your show several times with other people, and my whole thing is about the whole commissioner turning the other way. I'm going to have to say no.
Okay. Roger Clemens.
I'm going to have to say no for the same reasons.
Don Mattingly.
Don Mattingly, nice career. I don't think he is eligible. I mean, as worthy of the Hall of Fame.
Fred McGriff.
Fred, the crime dog McGriff, I'm going to say yes. What a great career. Did a lot for baseball and some great numbers, like Rick said already about him. I'll say yes.
Dale Murphy.
I'm going to go yes for Murphy. Again, a power keg with the Atlanta Braves. Just a great kid. He worked his butt off in his career. I'm going to say yes for Murph.
Rafael Palmeiro.
Nope. Same thing. Steroid issue and the black cloud hanging over him.
Kurt Schilling.
I'm going to say yes for Schilling. I know some people controversial, but I think he had an outstanding career. I'm going to go yes for Kurt.
Okay, my turn. Albert Bell. No. Didn't do enough. Barry Bonds. To me, the home run total should have an asterisk next to him. I say definitely not. Cheater. Steroids. Say what you want, Barry. But to me, you don't belong in there. You're lucky that you even stayed around the game to be able to get those home runs. So definitely not for Barry Bonds. Roger Clemens, as much as I would like to see him in there because he was a dominant pitcher, I really would like to see him in order to stay consistent with what I believe the steroid era is about. And I did recently come from the Hall of Fame, and I'm wearing a Hall of Fame hat. They do recognize the steroid era in the Hall of Fame, by the way. So there is an exhibit that talks about it, but I would say no on Clemens as well. I don't know if Cody Clemens will ever be able to pitch well unless he's in those lopsided games, but I had to throw that reference in there. But no, Roger, I can't put you in. Not Mattingly, I'm going to put in. And I'll tell you why, because I did some research on Kirby Puckett's numbers, and they were comparable to Don Mattingly's. The only thing that's prevented Mattingly from getting is he didn't have any team success getting into the postseason. That, to me, is the only thing that holds him back. He had a lot of good accomplishments there as well. And, if you're going to be honored with the Yankees in Monument Park and you get your number retired there, I'm yes with Mattingly all the way. Do I have any reason to be subjective about it because I worked with the man for years? Yeah, I guess you could say that. But I also, when I look at Don's body of work, it is comparable to what a lot of guys are doing at certain levels. So I'm giving it a definitive yes. Fred McGriff, no doubt about it. No doubt about it. If he would have hit 500 home runs, it would have made everybody's life a little bit easier. But how many labor stoppages was he affected by that prevented him from getting that 500 home run mark? Mm-hmm. So I think you have to take that into consideration. So, yeah, crime dog all day long. Dale Murphy, not backing you Atlanta Braves fans on this one, but I'm giving you at least the crime dog, who, by the way, is a Tampa Bay product. There's a lot of great prospects in the Tampa Bay area. So McGriff is one of them. But no, I'm not going with Dale Murphy. Rafael Palmeiro, you start giving that sign in front of Congress, and then all of a sudden you look like that, your Hall of Fame chances go down just like that. No way. Now, Kurt Schilling, I will put him in because he was a big money pitcher. He led the Diamondbacks to their first World Series championship. If that wasn't good enough, okay, he helped the Red Sox snap their long curse of the Bambino as well. Yes, George, you are totally on target, my friend. Controversial for his own good, but I still think you got to put him in. I don't know if that bloody sock was Heinz ketchup in a bottle or I don't know what it was. All I know is I'm not colorblind and I can see red. So we'll let everybody's imagination run amok. And Schilling was a heck of a pitcher as well for the Phillies. So I would put Kurt in there. It's not like we have a lot of high character people in the Hall of Fame after as time goes on. But Kurt, stay out of politics and don't alienate the writers when you probably were on the borderline of getting in a year ago until you said, "Take me off the ballot, let the real people do it." By the way, Denzel Snipes, thanks a lot for coming in. He's asking, "What's up, fellas?" Well, Denzel Snipes, you know what? You're coming on tomorrow night's edition of the Sports Exchange. If you still have it on your calendar, you're going to be the fifth guy tomorrow night. So let me just give her. So yeah, so I believe that Kurt Schilling belongs in. And here's the thing. Okay, before I get to what the criteria is, to me, I would like to see Lou Whitaker get in there, but Tom Gage has told me in the past that Lou Whitaker rubbed a lot of people the wrong way. And when you start biting the hand that feeds you with the media, that to me is like career. You can't do that. You can't. And Lou Whitaker did not need to make enemies. He needed to make friends. George, you're probably closer to that situation, right? Do you think that's exactly what he did?
Yeah, I think so, Scott. I think that it's so indicative of that terrible one and out. When he was not eligible for the Hall of Fame, he couldn't even garner enough support to make it to year two. That being said, I am not a fan of people holding grudges if you're voting for Hall of Fame members.
Right.
I don't care if you have this prestigious beat job covering the Detroit Tigers every day or the Arizona Diamondbacks. Okay. So I'm not a big fan of that. And I know Tom, I respect Tom. And I know you do too, Scott. We hold Tom Gage, who's a Ford C. Frick Award winner, by the way, from Detroit News, in high regard. But let bygones be bygones. And I think that Lou Whitaker deserves a spot in the Hall of Fame. I mean, you look at some of the second basemen that are in there, and his WAR, his 75.1 wins above average, wins above replacement, excuse me, is one of the top ones of the second basemen that are in the Hall of Fame already. I think he ranks like 6th, 7th, 8th, somewhere in that vicinity, if he were in, I mean. So I think, Scott, that, and guys, he deserves a serious look for sure.
I think Tom Gage's award wasn't the Ford Frick. I think it was the Spinks Award, wasn't it?
I'm sorry. You're right, Scott. Ford Frick is for guys like our friend Ernie Harwell.
Right, and I think the Spinks Award. I'm
Yeah.
just because I saw it recently. I took a lot of pictures of that. So, all right. So yeah, I mean, all right. So I'll whip it around a little bit. Will, do you think Lou belongs in the Hall of Fame?
I think he does.
Yeah.
I agree with everything George said. He has a great WAR, and let bygones be bygones. If you have trouble with media, like stop holding grudges. Like, no offense, it reminds me of the scenario when Jeter got in, and I'm like, okay, who's the guy who didn't vote for Jeter?
Yeah.
Oh, I
Right.
don't know. It's a Red Sox fan. Yeah, I know the Red Sox hate the Yankees and it's a bloody rivalry, but dude, you have to admit Jeter was a great, phenomenal player, over 3,000 hits. He had timely hits. He was pretty good at defense, but like, it's just bias that, like, do I think Jeter deserved unanimous? I don't know. I thought so personally, but just because your rivals, he plays for the rival city, doesn't mean, oh, I'm gonna write him out because I don't think he belongs in the Hall of Fame.
Right.
No, let bygones be bygones. So yes, I agree with George, 100%.
Jordan, Lou Whitaker, you think he belongs in?
Definitely. I mean, he's a 5-time All-Star, World Series champion, 3-time Gold Glove, 4-time Silver Slug Award. I mean, who cares what he did with the media? I know he probably rubbed people the wrong way, but still, you gotta let that go. Vote this guy in. He definitely deserves it.
Rick?
Absolutely. How can you have Alan Trammell in there without the second part of it? It's like having Tinkers, Evers, and no chance. I mean, they're one of the greatest double play combinations in history. His numbers are up there with other second basemen, and these stupid writers need to grow up. I mean, Eddie Murray was a complete jerk to a lot of the writers. A lot of them hated him. He's in the Hall of Fame, so just let these. I mean, just let it go. Like I could like when I talk about Kurt Schilling, I'm talking about his career. I could care less about his stupid politics. Okay, so that's how I look at it. He needs to go in the Hall of Fame. He should be in. I don't care about this war garbage. It's all about the eyeball test for me, and the eyeball test tells me he should be in the Hall of Fame.
You know what? I can't really tell what you said, Rick. All I'll say is Trammell and Whitaker's numbers are retired at Comerica Park, and they should be in collectively in Hall of Fame. And you know what, Rick? After that little mini rant that you had, and that's mini compared to some of the ones you're capable of, I'm not going to even attempt to top that one. All right, one last person we'll talk about before we go to parting shots, Sammy Sosa. I'll lead off with this one. Okay. I worked with Sammy in 1987 as a Gastonia Rangers PR guy. Definitely skinny specimen then, broke in 16 years of age. And of course, he obviously made it to the big leagues. Few people probably realize that George Bush, his son, the other president, traded him away when he was the owner of the Texas Rangers, and he went on to have a good career when he left.
For Albert Bell.
Yeah, is that what it was? Okay.
No, George Bell. Sorry.
Well, sorry, it's a Bell anyways. Who cares? But at any rate, and I do want to double up on your thoughts. Well, I think Derek Jeter should have gotten 100% of the vote in the Hall of Fame. If Mariano Rivera gets in, there's no doubt Derek Jeter should have gotten 100%. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. I'll just leave it at that. So, yeah, as much as I would love to see Sammy Sosa in the Hall of Fame, the cork bat situation didn't help himself any. But, when you're associated with the performance-enhancing drugs, it certainly didn't help his case. Personally, I'd like to see him. It'd be hard to put him in, so we'll leave it at that. I'll lead off with them. All right, we'll make a brief on this, so we have parting shots.
So, I don't think Sosa belongs in. I do remember the summer. Ironically, I was talking to Jordan about this a while ago. There's a documentary. If people haven't seen it, it's Long Gone Summer. It's about the McGwire-Sosa home run chase to beat the single season record. No, because of the steroid era being linked with that, with McGwire, Palmeiro, and a bunch of others, and also the corked bat thing, saying, "Oh, I didn't do that." Yeah, okay, sure you didn't, but yeah, plain and simple, he took steroids. He had a corked bat. Both are cheating. No Hall of Fame for Sosa.
And plus, he burned his bridges with the Cubs. It didn't help matters.
Yes, he did. So no Hall of Fame.
All right, go to Jordan.
As a Cubs fan, I love Sammy Sosa. I mean, he had, like Will said, he was in that home run race in '98. He has 609 home runs. My problem is the cork bat. Plus, he was in the steroid era. As much as I love Sammy Sosa, and he's the reason why I am he's part of the reason why I'm a Cubs fan, I have to say no, just because of the steroid era. We know he used steroids.
Well, we also know that McGwire and Sosa saved baseball after the 94 strike, too. So, let's face it, how long would it have taken for baseball to recover without McGwire and Sosa's home run chase? I know the Cal Ripken Jr. consecutive game streak could have really fallen if it weren't for that, but thankfully cooler heads prevailed, never it came down. But I'd like to, a lot of people should give him the benefit of the doubt. If nothing else, he saved baseball, but there's perception, there's reality, and reality is he didn't last on the ballot very long, and now wasn't even included on this contemporary ballot, which in a moment I'll explain what it is. All right, I'll turn it over to Rick, and then George, I'll talk about the contemporary ballot, and then we'll go to parting shots. Okay, Rick, go ahead.
No, he should not get in. He's a steroid user. I remember when he was with the White Sox, he was a little toothpick, couldn't hit his weight, and then he goes to the Cubs, got traded for George Bell. Remember that trade? And I was like, what's going on, And he became this great player, but it was all due to steroids. I mean, he looked like Lou Ferrigno, and then voila, he had 60 home runs, 70 home runs, 65, whatever, all because of steroids. If it wasn't for steroids, Sammy Sosa would not be considered in the Hall of Fame. He would be where he's at without steroids. Absolutely should not be in. Period.
All right, George.
I'm going to say no also for the aforementioned factors. But I want to tell you this, it was an exciting time, that McGwire and Sosa battle. Like you said, Scott, there's a lot to be said for how it excited the nation. It excited the Major League Sports fraternity, and of course all the fans watching that develop. I know it was illegal, but it was sure a lot of fun.
That's a good way of putting it.
Some of the best things are illegal but fun.
Yeah, I'm sure I could come up with a show on No Limits to come up with that, but I'm not in any hurry if the wrong person hears about it. So I'll leave it. It's one of those things that you can let let your imaginations run amok. And if people don't know what the word amok is, it means wild. So it's not one of those things. All right. With that said, let me just go over the committee real quick. Everybody has parting shots, and we'll turn it over to Candy Ebling and Fire Up Wisconsin shortly after I make my initial cameo. All right. This committee is a 16-member board. Any member of the 8-player ballot who earns 75% or 12 or more committee members will be added to the 2023 Hall of Fame class. The results will be announced on December 4th at the baseball winter meeting. So, when I guess when you look at the nature of the thing here, to me, now that's what Kurt Schilling's basically saying. Let me have some real baseball people determine whether I belong here or not, which is why he burned a lot of bridges. But now we'll find out what Kurt Schilling has to say about his contemporaries of the past. And then I'll be anxious to see that rant if he doesn't get in. So with that said, want to get it out there in case anybody wanted clarification on the actual contemporary era Hall of Fame ballot and who the voters are. All right. Well, I know you love parting shots. We're going to let you lead off.
So the college I work at, I work in the dining services. The college basketball team I work at just transitioned this past year from Division 2 to Division 1. And I didn't go to the game last night because I was just tired from work. But I watched the game on ESPN Plus. They played Marshall in a nail biter. And this is Queen's University of Charlotte. So shout out to their men's basketball team. They beat Marshall by 1 to claim their first Division 1 men's basketball victory in school history. So let's go Queens Royals. Let's have a great season.
Okay. That's a good one. Like that. Like some recognition for places that generally don't get it. All right, Jordan, what do you have?
So my parting shot, we had one of the best hockey broadcasters in Colorado pass away, Peter McNabb. He was part of Avalanche broadcast from 1995 until his death. One of the greatest guys to actually sit and listen to because he knew hockey. He was an analyst, color analyst. He knew his stuff. And he was just the voice of Avalanche hockey. I don't think he knows how many people he touched, but we definitely lost a great one. Rest in peace, Peter McNabb. You are very, very missed.
If I recall correctly, didn't Peter McNabb, George, play for the Boston Bruins?
He did, yes.
Yeah, he had a great career with them. So, yeah, rest in peace, Peter McNabb. All right, George Eichhorn, go ahead. Give me what you have.
Well, there's talk again about moving the fences in at Comerica Park, and I, for one, say forget it. Okay, the park has earned a reputation of being a pitcher's ballpark, but if you're a good enough hitter, and the Tigers have had some good hitters over the years, namely Cabrera and Nick Castellanos led the league in doubles one year. I mean, you can still win ball games in that ballpark. Learn how to win ball games, doubles, singles, triples. So what? You can't hit enough home runs at Comerica Park. But I, for one, say no. Scott Harris, the new president of baseball operations, don't fall victim to that. Don't move those fences in. Leave them alone.
Okay, Rick Curdy.
Well, I saw the finalists for the managers of the year in both American and National League. Why isn't Dustybaker on that list? To me, he's the American League Manager of the Year. And in the National League, why is it Rob Thompson on there? My goodness, 9 games under 500. You become the interim manager. You had no idea what was going to happen. You fired Joe Girardi, and you take this team to a World Series. And he almost won, too. Why is he not in there? And you have Dave Roberts. Are you kidding me? I'm a Dodger fan. He choked. He won 111 games. He should not be on there. He should be fired. And you have him as a finalist for Manager of the Year. Give me a break. To me, Buck Showalter's Manager of the Year in the National League. But why is it Rob Thompson? And why is it Dustybaker, to me, who was the American League Manager of the Year? So that, to me, was a head scratcher for me.
Okay. I have 2 thoughts. Number one, Saturday, 2:25 p.m. in Michigan. My Aunt Mary, 103 years of age, passed away. Saw her 5 years ago. And introduced her to my wife, Candy Ebling, passed away. 103, what a great run. really. So had a funeral service in Motown or Metropolitan Detroit, and it moved me when I watched it online. So rest in peace, Aunt Mary, 103 years old. That's pretty good. My parting shots, easy. I heard recently that the state of Nevada, city of Vegas, doesn't want to go ahead and build a stadium for the Oakland A's. Well, you know what? Guess what? Okay. I'm not sure if I buy the Kool-Aid, but if indeed they don't want to, then the A's better hope and pray that their stadium deal goes through in Oakland, because I don't know where they're going to play when their lease expires after 2024. So they need to figure it out. Otherwise, I'll be curious to see where the A's can land. I still believe that Vegas is the favorite to get them if Oakland falls apart. And you know what? I got news for you. They have a AAA team doing pretty well anyhow. So Las Vegas, if you really want to dive into the baseball pool, with all the building that you're doing there, you better find somebody willing to put these guys up for a while. Because as I understood, for the first couple of years until they built their new place, they would be sharing the same stadium with their AAA club. So Las Vegas, if you really want to get into Major League Baseball, whether you're going to finance the stadium or not, which I totally understand why you won't, because you've got an arena and you have the Raiders there. But if you want Major League Baseball, as I can tell you right now, on October 31st, 2021, Candy Abley and I went to the Field of Dreams. If you build it, they will come. What a great memory on Halloween a year ago. That really was.
That's
You better get
awesome.
them a stadium, because that's a good, and I know they're going to do some incredible things with it. So I don't know. And another little sidebar, George, I don't know if you heard it, but Brad Ausmus is not returning as bench coach to the Oakland A's. He's going to try to seek a front office job as well. I read that today. So
Yeah.
I guess Brad would like to improve his working environment, and the Oakland Coliseum is definitely not one of them. So, but that said, a great show. Going to give everybody an opportunity to let you know how you can get a hold of you. Well, lead off.
Scott, George, Jordan, Rick, always a pleasure talking sports with you guys. Monday nights during the NBA season on the Sideline Sports Network, I am on the NBA carousel covering the Charlotte Hornets. Tuesday nights, I'm here on the South Florida Tribune, 108 Stitches Baseball. Thursday, the Sip-Off hosted by Megan Price and Jahan Phillips. Sunday nights, I'm back. Basket Bros, Scott, Jacob, Jay, Dom, and myself. That is Throwback Basketball on the Sideline Sports Network.
Okay. All right, Jordan, go ahead.
Well, you can find me on Twitter at SportsScoop1. Mondays during the NBA season, like Will said, I'm on the NBA Carousel hosted by Megan Price. I am the Denver Nuggets. I did the Phoenix Suns. Not sure if I'm going to do the Phoenix Suns, but I do represent the Denver Nuggets. Tuesdays here with you guys on 108 Stitches. Thursdays during the NFL season, Alex Fleming's NFL Carousel, hosted by Eric Wilson, as I'm the representative for the Denver Broncos. Fridays, and I will upload on the Sideline Sports Network. It's Under Review, which is my show that I focus on basically Colorado sports with a sprinkling of national sports headlines as well. I have a blog that I write Mondays through Thursdays at sports-scoop.com.
Very good. All right, Rick.
You can find me on my website, www.charlottebats.com. I'm also on Facebook at Charlotte Bats Baseball, Charlotte MLB. I'm also on LinkedIn under Rick Curdy. I'm on Instagram at Charlotte Bats, and I'm also on Twitter at Charlotte Bats Baseball. And if you have any comments or questions, you can email me at cltbatsbaseball@gmail.com. Go on our website, sign our petition to bring Major League Baseball to Charlotte, North Carolina.
Okay, George, you're next.
Thank you, Scott. Author of Detroit Sports Broadcasters on the Air, compilation of over 50, 60 years of broadcasting in Detroit, featuring the likes of Ty Tyson, Ernie Harwell, Frank Beckman, George Blaha, Van Patrick, Bruce Martin, Bud Lynch, and Scott Morganroth. Scott's in the book. He's featured with a couple of greats of all time, Cassius Clay, Muhammad Ali, and also with the fella named Jimmy Connors. So the book's available at the Motor City Tribune, at the South Florida Tribune website. I write for that. And also you can find me at SNG Sports 99 on Twitter and gicorn@yahoo.com. I'm also on LinkedIn under George Icorn, and you can find me every Monday night with Scott and the gang on Fire Up Michigan here on the South Florida Tribune Network.
Yeah, I know that show and as well as all the other shows are developing very nicely. Rick, point out to you as well, we appreciate all your help on social media, making sure you get the content out to as many as we can. And I will say we added the Florida State Seminoles football team as a media distribution partner over the weekend. Don't like what they did to Miami Hurricanes. Don't get me started there, but we did add the Seminoles. So with that said, subscribe to the South Florida Tribune on our YouTube channel or visit www.southflorida.com. Advertise, call 954-304-4941. The audio portion of the show can be heard on iHeartRadio, Apple, Google, or wherever you get your podcasts. If you have difficulties doing it that way, just go to youtube.com and find South Florida Tribune and subscribe to that. Twitter, you can find us on at Tribune South as well. And also, if you want to email us, please email us at southfloridatribune@gmail.com. Any questions or comments, feel free to send them to our way. And if I find they're applicable to the next show, I'll be more than happy to put that out there as well. So that's my information. All I can tell you, this crew was absolutely fantastic with an exclamation point 10 times over. Hopefully, we gave you some good insights about some Hall of Fame, as well as a final overview on the World Series. With that said, okay, coming up after 108 Stitches Baseball Talk, we do have Fire Up Wisconsin. Candy will be leading the band. Eric Katz will be on there as well. We're hoping to have Brett Gardepy on there. So it'll be a good show there as well. So on behalf of George Icorn, Will Vogel, Jordan Long, and Rick Curdy, my name is Scott Morganroth, Motor City Mad Mouth, although I feel like I'm talking mildly tonight because I think I'm really delighted with some of the things we're really working to try to build a network. And I know that when you have to do this thing, it just takes time and patience to try to be able to connect with the right people. And I'm proud of the people that we add on and exist in addition to the current ones that we have working in the system now. So you guys only make me look good. In my opinion, you guys are just the best. So I have not much more to say. So, all right. So on behalf of the crew, we look forward to catching you on our next edition of 108 Stitches Baseball Talk. God bless everybody and be safe out there. Bye now.
Good night.
Good night.